If your bank asked you to prove your wealth, would you give them that information? Would you send such sensitive information about your own finances to your bank? Well, I was asked that question a couple of weeks ago, and I said no. But if another one of my banks asked me that, and they had hostage a lot of my money, or perhaps if I sold a bunch of my gold and silver, and then they asked me, where has all that money come from? Would I be able to prove it to get my money out? Would I want to prove it to get my money out? Well, the short answer is yes. But there are so many people out there in this world who don't take this stuff quite as seriously as perhaps we should. And whilst it sucks that the banks have the power over us to really compel us to give this kind of information out, otherwise you don't get your money, we kind of have to be prepared and work within that system. So we're going to explore that in today's Precious Metal Ramble. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Welcome to another Precious Metal Ramble, where I like to think we are the down-to-earth, real-world stackers, where we can actively talk about things that make a bit of sense. And one of the things that's got me a little bit concerned for the future of stacking and banking specifically is the situation that happened to me a few weeks ago, where one of the banks that I was trying to save some money with challenged me and said I needed to prove my source of funds, prove my wealth. And they were asking for all my income data or proof of inheritances or anything else that I would want to provide to prove where I got my money from. And I just did not like that at all. If you want to see that video, I'm sure I can link it down in the description. But the nuts and bolts of it was they had to do that for anti-money laundering regulations. Now, that's not because I'm suspected of being a money launderer. That's just part of the crazy, stupid banking rules that we live under in this society in the United Kingdom. You are always assumed to be in the wrong unless you can prove yourself innocent. It's completely opposite to any criminal justice system. You are not presumed innocent. You have to prove your innocence with these kind of things. Now, what it got me really thinking about and somewhat worried about for mainly other people, because my record keeping is very, very good and tidy when it comes to my own personal investments and stacks. I take it quite seriously. It's kind of a bit of a fun hobby for me. I'm a bit of a spreadsheet guy. But the point here is, if hypothetically you have a boatload of gold and silver that you've accumulated over a long period of time through social media, through various different other platforms, companies, what have you, and then one day you just rock up to a bullion dealer and you sell the lot and you get a big payout and that goes into your bank. What do you do when your bank turns around and says, prove it? That could be difficult because I've had experiences this last year. Now, for those that don't know, I also run an intermediary service where I help people sell their gold and silver to third parties. And I've had this year one customer, in fact, I've had a couple of customers whose bank accounts have been sort of put on hold when they've received large sums of money, but one that was put on hold for a good 48 hours to 72 hours before he could really justify to the bank what was going on there. And they basically closed his account, or basically said, no, you can't take any of the money out. And we're talking large sums of cash here. The stacker in question had nearly £50,000 put into his account, and they would not let him take a single penny out until he proved his wealth. Wealth, there we go. Proved his worth and wealth. We got there in the end. So, yeah, difficult times. And it does get you thinking about the risks involved with buying from just random people off the internet. If you don't keep good records, how are you ever going to find that information and data? You know, from the advantage of buying online through big bullion dealers, there are most certainly records that those bullion dealers keep. If you're buying in big chunks and you're putting large sums of money, of course, into these bullion dealers, they themselves are required to do some kind of anti-money laundering checks in the very sort of lowest form by just taking copies of your ID. And then if ever they are requested that information by HMRC, our taxman, they will provide it. And that's a real scary thing for a lot of people, that they don't like that idea of that information being reported to the government, to the authorities, that your money is, you know, what it is and you've spent it. Like, I don't really understand what that problem is. If you're not doing anything wrong, then you haven't really got anything to hide, and that information should theoretically be all there ready to declare at some point. And if you're buying capital gains tax exempt stuff anyway, the point is it's pretty pointless to worry about it, because yeah, you can have a lot of your information go to HMRC, but it's all tax exempt anyway. So the point there is kind of moot in many ways. But maybe you're not doing capital gains exempt stuff and you're a bit worried about it. And maybe then you go and you try and go under the radar a little bit, which so many people joke about it. And, you hear all of these silly platitudes on YouTube from, I like to think I'm a bit of a down-to-earth stacker. I'm not one of these sort of doom and gloomers. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not somebody who's just going, silver's gonna shoot the moon, you have to buy it now, here's my affiliate bonus code in the description box below. I'm not that kind of guy, I never have been. And but those kind of people are also like, oh yeah, I lost all my silver and gold in a boating accident. The government will never know about it. How would they ever know about it? I buy it from social media, they'll never know about it. Well, they might not have to know about it, because full circle, here's my tangential ramble, the money goes back into your bank account, which ultimately is the thing that makes the world go round, of course, and a lot of those silly people think that they don't need to ever sell, but let's be quite frank, 95, 99 even % of people who buy silver and gold will one day sell it in one form or another, whether it goes to a future generation or themselves. And then comes the problem of the bank saying, just out of interest, where did you get all this money? Where did you get all of this gold and silver? If you say, oh yeah, the £100,000 that's just landed in my bank account, that was from some sale of gold and silver. Where did you get that gold and silver from, sir? I lost it in an unfortunate boating accident. So where did the money come from? You can see the problem here. And there are people who take that really seriously. And they're called taxmen. And they will tax you for it. And they will bloody well hit you with a hammer for it. There's a very funny one in the UK recently where Rupert Grint, who plays Ron Weasley in the Harry Potter films, lost a £1.8 million case against HMRC. I'm not familiar with the ins and outs of it. It wasn't to do with gold and silver and capital gains, but it was to do with different structures of earnings and how he was earning. And they pursue you. And, well, that's an extreme case of a large sum of money. But the point is, they'll bring down the hammer hard on whoever is cheating the system. And don't you even think that they won't notice at some point down the line. So that's all the problem. What's the solution? Well, the solution here is to do everything above board, of course, and I would never countenance anyone doing things the wrong way when it comes to their own record keeping and stacking. It's intrusion. It's going to happen. I think we've got to learn about that. I've seen there was a very good video. I'm so sorry, I've forgotten the channel's name. Perhaps he watches my video on a regular basis. He can comment again. But he did a video after I'd done a video about the banking issues, saying that we need to stand up to the institutions that do this. And to a certain degree, I agree. Like, we can't let them get away with murder. We can't let them just have whatever they want to do with whatever they've got going on in their own little castles of solitude as banks. But at the same time, we as the lonely individuals can only do so much. And if you've got a large sum of money in a bank that they are now telling you can't have access to unless you provide them with sensitive personal information as per the rules of the law that is required of them to ask, then you're going to have a really hard time of things. And that's not a position I ever want to be in. Tax is tax. Nobody likes paying tax. There's no argument there from my side. I don't like paying tax. But at the same time, I quite like the idea of contributing to a society and all of the things. Whether or not the tax is spent correctly, that's the thing I have the big problem with. It's not really the fact that I have to pay the tax. It's the fact that the taxes are used so abysmally badly by whoever it might be that's using that money. That's a story for another time, perhaps an entire different channel for another time. But the point here is that we have to work within the system that we've got. And that system has evolved and changed. And I've seen it change over the last 2 years. So bringing this kind of full circle back around to my sort of experiences and business side of things. We had another situation this last weekend where a customer was trying to buy an ounce of gold. And, someone was trying to sell an ounce of gold. A customer bought it, couldn't get the payment pushed through to the bank. His bank said it had gone, so it looked like completed on his side. Money was out of the account, so he had the £2,000 odd pounds less in his account than he did before, and the seller didn't have it. And so then I'm stuck in the middle, poor old Muggins here, trying to say to one person, well, he said he sent it, and it's all cleared, and he sent me screenshots of it, and then the other guy's saying, well, he hasn't received it. The whole point here is I'm acting as an intermediary, so there is a level of security for both parties here, so we know that no one's getting scammed and nobody's going to be out of pocket. But at the same time, The banks just don't like this. They don't like people spending their money. They don't like people sending cash to other people. You're automatically assumed to be a money launderer or a drug dealer or some kind of tax cheat if you're just trying to sell some assets, sell some investments that you've had along the way. And I don't like that. I think it's really bad. And I can't say more than I say it's really bad. I mean, it is bad. It's not good at all to be in a society like that where you have these, stupid rules and restrictions that stop you from doing things. But unfortunately, that's the world that we now live in. And I don't see it changing. In fact, I see it changing for the worse over the coming years. So the big change in the UK for banks recently has been that they will be liable for anyone that is scammed. No matter what happens, up to £85,000, the banks are on the hook. So of course the banks are going to be completely batshit crazy with their fraud systems and anti-money laundering stuff. They will root out every single bad egg within their institution and they will turf them out on their bums. That's what's going to happen. And unfortunately, I do see quite a lot of people who, rightly or wrongly, I think completely wrongly, joke about these things and go, you shouldn't give the bank anything. And I get it for some reasons, but like from my experience where this bank asked me to provide information on my income and my wealth for £2,000 worth of money going into a savings account, I can't really be bothered by that. When I looked at the sort of finer terms of their email and everything, they said if you do not provide that information or decide not to provide that information, we will be closing down your account. So that's the solution, isn't it? You just have to run ragged with your bank until they close down your account. But having your account closed down is a really serious thing, and it's something that you do not want to happen. So be very careful about anything that might happen. And again, this is not sort of financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a banking advisor. But be very careful if ever you have found yourself in a situation where the bank's asking for something and you're just going to sit there and do nothing about it. Because they have the right to close your account, which is a nightmare. If that's your only bank account, you could be in some serious trouble. Also, there have been stories that I've heard from a YouTube channel called Black Belt Barrister, big UK lawyer, sort of solicitor, not solicitor, he's going to hate me if I say that. If he ever watches my content, he's a barrister. Basically, that's like the top legal profession here in the UK. And he basically told a story of a client of his where they tried to sell some stuff for a relative, I think it was, that had passed away, or sell something for a relative who'd inherited a bunch of junk from his parents or something, and the money went into his account and he did not provide the information to his bank about what he was doing and where that money came from. And the bank closed his account and put him on a fraud watch list or a money laundering watch list, I think it was. And then that guy could not open another bank account anywhere. And he was on this list, which is like a big no-no list. And then the whole reason he was with Black Belt Barrister was trying to get him off that list so he could even open a bank account. The banks will do whatever they want, and they can unfortunately do whatever they want. So in reply to the content creator that I'm really sorry I can't remember the name of him, but he did a video saying that we need to stand up to the institutions and banks here in the UK. I get that's the sort of mentality in the US. You guys are very much sort of, fight them on the beaches kind of thing, even though that's a Winston Churchill speech. That's ironic, isn't it? But it's just not really practical for us in the situation that you might be in. So yes, generally we can try and spark some change within the industry, but from an individual perspective, you tell me, if somebody's got 100 grand of your money locked away from investments that you've made, and they say, you can't touch this unless you give us this information, you're just not going to give the information? Of course you are. So it sucks, I guess is the point. And the fact of the matter is, unfortunately, it's only going to get worse, and it's going to have a bigger impact on things going forward. So for those watching to the end of the video, you guys are super extra special cool. You're in the Cool Kids Club. And to tell me that you're in the Cool Kids Club, you need to tell me the serial number of this particular bar that I've got on screen. And for those that listen to it as an audio podcast, that's bar number 31. So if you are in the Cool Kids Club, say bar number 31, which incidentally, these are available on our website. We've got very limited numbers left. We've got 2 of the 1 gram. We've got 2 of the 10th ounce plus a few of the 2023 editions. So go and check them out if you want to support the channel more, then those are there. But I forgot what I was going to say. Update time. Cool Kids Club. Right, yes, you've watched to the end. You've listened to my 10 gentle rambles. Basically, how all of this that I've talked about today affects my business is that the intermediary service that I run, which I don't really do to earn money from. I earn a little bit of money from it, but it's not like it's a big part of my income stream. It's just becoming too loathsome. It really is. It's like I have to deal with all the bloody banks, I have to deal with all the things, I have to deal with people who saying they've spent it, but it hasn't gone through and all of this crap. So I guess what I'm saying is it will still happen, but there will come a point, I'm sure, at some time in the future where I'd be like, it's just not worth my time, or I have to increase my prices again to make it a little bit more worth my time. And that I don't really like the idea of, because the whole point is to try and link up people to sell and link people to buy and get good prices for everybody involved. But I can't really see that continuing in this crazy post-banking world. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to have, of course, it's Christmas time now, so we'll have a little break on the sort of buyers club side of things, probably until January, February. But I'm also considering really taking another bit of a hiatus. Last year, we took about a 4-month break on it, and that was really good. And with the market being where it is right now, I feel like that's probably going to happen again. So we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, okay, that's it. Banking sucks. I guess the message for anyone still watching is that if you've got all your ducks in a row and you've got all of your books in order and you've done things the right way, you haven't really got anything to worry about. But if you're in this joke camp where you go, I lost all my silver and gold in an unfortunate boating accident. I nearly did the Austin Powers an unfortunate schmelting accident, which would be more sort of ironic for me if I lost all my gold and silver in an ironic smelting accident. But hey, you know what? Those people can just get in trouble down the line on their own. I'm fine with it. I've got my records. I've got everything above board my side, so that's fine with me. And I hope that all of you will do the same too. So that's it from me. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next video. That's it from me. Have a good one. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.